can you get rid of addiction, or is it only really manageable?
Very good.
I know some people say, I think we've talked about this in the previous show, 12 steps will say, no, once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. And we had that discussion last week. So I'll start off with that. Can you get rid of an addiction forever?
Very good. That's a good question. So let's address that in a little bit of a more, deeper sense and meaning, what it means. In general, I would say, yes, you can get rid of addiction. But it's not as easily said like that, completely getting rid of addiction, because if you have watched one of our previous videos, when we say addiction, it's more or less a term used for a very specific type of habit formation. So if we replaced that word addiction with what it really is, which is habit formation, right? Then it becomes a little bit more clear how difficult it is to just say yes to that question. Yes, you can get rid of it. Because then the question becomes, well, how can we get rid of habits? Well, we can't necessarily get rid of habits in general, because, I may be habituated and have developed certain habits towards a certain, way of dressing, right? Dressing up for occasions, or dress code, if you will, and then replace that. But does that mean I'm getting rid of the ability of forming habits in general, or no?
Yeah, good point.
Right? So I may continue my habits in, for instance, the way I'm brushing my teeth. Right? So that's a habitual format too. Or driving somewhere. A lot of people habitually drive to work or to a specific place that they're used to. That's habit too. They have formed that habit. And just because they stop dressing up in a certain way, they got rid of that habit of dress code, doesn't mean they also get rid of their habits or ability to form and maintain habits in another area of their life. So are we talking about, when we are saying, can we stop addiction? Can we get rid of addiction? Are we talking about specifically stopping a very specific set of habits as it relates to, for instance, substance use? Yes, we can.
So if you're addicted to cocaine,
Right.
and let's say I am, and I'm done. I've
Right.
come out of treatment. I haven't had it for months and months and months.
Right.
So is it possible for me to live the rest of my life
Cocaine free.
cocaine free?
Absolutely. It is possible. Now, not by mere chance. That's the caveat I would throw in.
Huh. What do you mean?
Well, basically, the way you said it is, if I have used and then by mere chance, how did you stop? How long did you stop? What do you have? What kind of tools do you have to explain the time of your sobriety, how you maintained the sobriety? Was it happening because you stranded on an island with no cocaine? And you're saying, okay, I lived on 2 years on that island, therefore I didn't use. Okay, so now I decided not to use anymore and I'm okay with it. Well, it was by chance. You stranded on that island for 2 years. There was no availability of cocaine. There was no access to cocaine. It wasn't because you were capable of staying away from cocaine. These are two different things. So we have to really address more or less skill set, mindset, skill set, in addition to all the other factors, which would be, let's say, biological factors, environmental factors, familial factors, social factors, economic factors. We have to assess the whole situation. So can we get rid, can people in general who get addicted to, let's just stay with the topic of cocaine, can they get rid of it? Yes, if they have a plan, if they have received treatment, if they have gone through more or less a training. What is treatment? It's retraining your mind and body and soul and emotions to use a series of skills that you either didn't know about before, or you knew but you didn't know how to implement that knowledge to your life in a very systematic and pre-planned, if you will, fashion, right? If you can do that, yeah, you can get rid of that cocaine addiction in your life.